According to Trenhorn and Vatican II, people who do not profess the Catholic faith in its entirety or preserve communion under the successor of St. Peter are part of the body of Christ. That's the opposite of Catholic teaching. It's a dogma that people who reject the papacy or any dogma of the Church are outside and alien to the body or Church of Christ, not part of it. Here's the proof, and in all of these magisterial statements, notice the term body or Church of Christ. That's what we're focusing on here. Pope Pius XI, Mortali Manimus, 1928. Furthermore, in this one Church of Christ, no man can be or remain who does not accept, recognize, and obey the authority and supremacy of Peter and his legitimate successors. As we can see, people who do not accept the papacy are not part of the body of Christ. That's the Catholic Church's teaching. But it's not the teaching of Vatican II or Trenhorn because they aren't Catholic.
So, non-Catholic Christians are a part of the body of Christ in virtue of their valid baptism.
Pope Pius VI, Caritas, 1791. For no one can be in the Church of Christ without being in unity with its visible head and founded on the See of Peter. Pope Pius IX, Amantissimus, 1862. There are other almost countless proofs drawn from the most trustworthy witnesses which clearly and openly testify with great faith, exactitude, respect, and obedience that all who want to belong to the true and only Church of Christ must honor and obey this apostolic see and the Roman pontiff. End quote. Those suffice to prove the point and refute Trenhorn and Vatican II, but there's more. Pope Eugene IV at the Council of Florence in the Bull Cantate Domino solemnly declared, quote, "It, the Holy Roman Church, condemns, rejects, and anathematizes all who think opposed and contrary things, and declares them to be aliens from the body of Christ, which is the Church." End quote. So there you have it. Now this principle, solemnly declared by Florence, applies to people who reject any dogma of the Catholic Church, but just in case someone like Trenhorn tries to diminish the force of Florence's solemn statement here, by claiming that it comes after dogmatic statements about the Trinity, some of which Protestants and the Eastern Court Orthodox would accept, note that it comes after a dogmatic statement about the Filioque. The Eastern Court Orthodox don't accept the Filioque. Hence, this solemn pronouncement of Florence proves that the Eastern Court Orthodox who reject the Filioque are aliens from the body of Christ. But that is not the position of Vatican II and Trenhorn. They, on the contrary, heretically teach that the Eastern Court Orthodox are part of the body of Christ. The falsity of Horn's position should also be apparent to anyone who knows the Catholic Church's teaching that all in the body of Christ have the same faith. That was taught in the Bull Unam Sanctam of Pope Boniface VIII and in many other pronouncements. As Pope Pius XII taught in Mystici Corporis, it follows that those who are divided in faith or government cannot be living in the unity of such a body. Thus, people who do not preserve the faith, such as Protestants or the Eastern Court Orthodox, are not part of the body of Christ. Pius XII also taught, "For not every offense, although it may be a grave evil, is such as by its very own nature to sever a man from the body of the Church, as does schism or heresy or apostasy." End quote. Schism, heresy, and apostasy sever a man from the body of the Church of Christ. Non-Catholics who reject the papacy or another dogma commit the offense of heresy and are severed from the Church of Christ. But someone like Trenhorn might even deny that Protestants commit heresy when they deny the papacy or another dogma. After all, Antipope Benedict XVI said that Protestantism isn't even heresy. Pope Leo XIII teaches the same truth about the Church in his encyclical Satis Cognitum. Quote, "The practice of the Church has always been the same, and that with the consenting judgment of the Holy Fathers, who certainly were accustomed to hold as having no part of Catholic communion, and as banished from the Church, whoever had departed in even the least way from the doctrine proposed by the authentic magisterium." End quote. Notice, the Catholic Church teaches that those who depart in even the least way from the Church's teaching are considered as having no part of Catholic communion and as banished from the Church. That Church is the body of Christ. What's very interesting about this text is that in the Latin, Leo XIII uses the word expertum, an accusative form of the adjective expers, which literally means having no part. It was providential that Leo XIII used that word. It directly contradicts in advance the heretical teaching of Vatican II and people like Trenhorn, that those who depart from Catholic teaching retain partial communion with the Catholic Church if they are baptized. No, they have no communion with the Church. They are aliens to the Church of Christ. Leo XIII also used the word ex torrem, which means ex terra, or having been exiled from a country or a land. One is not exiled from a country or a land if one has partial movement within it. The prefix ex, which Leo XIII uses in these words, means out of, not partly inside. There's more we could quote on this point, but these facts suffice to refute Trenhorn's heresy and false argument on this matter.
In virtù del nostro battesimo, tutti formiamo l'unico corpo di Cristo. Le diverse membra, infatti, formano un solo corpo.